In Love and War is different to anything I've ever seen Sandra Bullock do before. This is set in World War One, and I think every Bullock film I've seen, which is a good proportion of them, I think, has been contemporaneous to our own existence. This one, obviously set in the early 20th century, it's very different, and it's pretty decent. It's also biographical by Ernest Hemingway. So there was a lot that this film could deliver, and I think it did. Released in 1996, directed by Richard Attenborough, and stars Sandra Bullock, of course, as Agnes von Kurowsky, an individual I had not heard of, which is fine. And Hemingway is played by Chris O'Donnell. As far as Hemingway goes, I had no expectations. I didn't really know what I wanted from that character. Hemingway is not an individual about whom I know that much beyond the basics that everybody knows. I should probably change that. But I can say that for me personally, I think that his interpretation meets with what I would have expected from this individual. So I really like that. I can't comment on the accuracy of his characteristics or his mannerisms. The same with Sandra Bullock playing Agnes von Kurowsky. But I can say that it was a pretty joy to watch. So the description from IMDb is as follows. And this says, reporter Ernest Hemingway is an ambulance driver in Italy during World War One. While bravely risking his life in the line of duty, he is injured and ends up in hospital where he falls in love with his nurse, Agnes von Kurowsky. Now, if this was contemporaneous and it was just about a man who'd been injured and fell in love with a nurse, that would be so dull. It's not my kind of film. But because it's set in World War One, because the costumes are incredible, the atmosphere is tense but also quite light at times when the romance takes control over the elements of the war, because it does feel like I've been transported back in time. It's really quite moving and powerful and very interesting. And I'm not going to say too much about what happens because, well, I went into it with no knowledge and I then thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that you will do the same. But I will say that it's relatively predictable in terms of character behaviours. The narrative itself is about as predictable as the First World War. I think it when watching it, you feel like it could go off in any direction. There's no real certainty about what could happen next. And that's good, it makes it a little bit more tense than your average kind of romance drama. Obviously, I can't vouch for how accurate of a biopic this is. So if you know anything about Ernest Hemingway, you'll know more than I do. So if you know anything and can say, yes, this is pretty accurate, or, they did this, or this bit was wrong. There is a bit of a goof thing on IMDb that says they played... the Italian marching band is playing the Beer Barrel Polka. But apparently that wasn't written until the 1920s and is a Czech song. Pretty interesting bit of goof and trivia there. But aside from that, I can't comment on any accuracy, so I would like to know. But the costumes are divine. They are really splendid. The colour palette is lovely. It's kind of dusty, very soft and gentle most of the time. It's something I really appreciate. It is moving. If this sounds like it could even slightly be your kind of film, I think you should give it a watch, as certainly it's not something that I can fault. It's pretty beautiful.